Greetings, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for E-Decolonize. This class is usually recorded live, but tonight we have a very special guest and we are actually doing a pre-recording. This is class number 9 that will air officially on June 28th for June 29th. And I have a very special guest. Her name is Jael Serrano Altamirano. And we are going to focus the hour on speaking about detention centers. You know, what can we do as a community to advocate for justice, and, you know, especially looking at the case of Allan Altamirano. Before we get into that, I just wanted to let you know that this is the 9th course out of a 10th course class. So as you know, it went by really fast. We only have one more class. And to let you know, everything we're going to be discussing tonight, we are going to have a video description where you can contact Jael. You can support the organizations that she's going to be speaking about. So all that information is going to be available under the video description. So again, this is E-Decolonize class number 9, and we are going to get started with a very special guest, Jael Serrano Altamirano. So everyone, this is Jael.
Hi guys, I'm so excited.
Thank you so much. You know, I know you're super busy. I know there's a lot that you are having to do right now, but I want our viewers and students to know how I learned about you. And It was actually thanks to the activism of my warrior sisters and brothers who went out there a few weeks ago at Adelanto. They were doing like a live feed of what was happening. And, you know, someone captured when you spoke, right? And you had the poster of your husband and you talked about what happened there. And so I thought it was very, important that we get to know, who's behind, right? Who's being detained? What are those stories? And the fact that you were there and we were able to learn about your husband's case, I'm very, very grateful for those actions. Shout out to the brothers and sisters who participated and organized that action in Adelanto. And that's how I learned about your case. And since I learned about your case, I reached out to you. I said, I want to get to know you more. I want to know how I can help you. And I'm just very grateful that, since day one, you have been nothing but such a positive energy. The way that you advocate for your husband and for what you're going through, I think it's admirable. And I think it can be very inspiring and educational for everyone that's watching this. So to begin, just to let everyone know, Jael is a lot. She's not just a wife. She has so many things. She's so talented. She is, let me read the description here. She is a mother. She is a full-time student. She is a music teacher. She's a youth leader. She's the founder of Jayglamourcosmetics. She's a radio host. She's an immigration rights activist. She's a YouTube content creator. She's a makeup artist, and she's very, very multifaceted, multi-talented individual. But tonight, we are going to get to know more about her husband, Allan Altamirano, because I think it's important for people to understand and humanize this example, because we hear about cases and thousands of people and how under Trump administration, there have been 24 deaths in detention centers under Trump's administration. And that just goes to show the severity and the importance of, what is really happening behind these centers. But before we get to that, Jael, I wanted you to tell us more about yourself. If you can tell us about yourself, about your family, so that way we can get to know who you are and who Allan is.
Amen. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity for having me here. It's a pleasure, honestly, to be in, your show that you have going on. So a little bit about myself. I'm 25 years old. Like you mentioned, 4 kids. My husband has 2. I have 2 kids. So a total is 4. 4 kids, 4 babies. Yeah, so me and my husband, we are youth leaders. We work with the community, we work with the church. Also, my parents own a radio station called Radio Impacto. My parents are also pastors, and we have a radio program where we do not only for the youth, but we also have a radio program for the marriages, for matrimonios. Even him being detained, we even do the radio. He calls And that's how we continue doing the work, God's work. I am the only girl out of 3 brothers. So they call me the spoiled one, but it's like, I'm not spoiled. Just because I'm the only girl doesn't mean I'm spoiled. Yeah, I actually, my dad's Dominican, my mom's from Guatemala, and I was actually born in Toronto, Canada. So I'm Canadian. So, I'm a little mutt. But yeah, that's a little bit about my family, about myself, and yeah.
So let's talk about how you met Allan, how you guys met, and then your wedding, because I know you recently were newlyweds. So tell us your love story.
Okay, so funny story how we met. I remember it was Mother's Day. I went to go take a family because my parents, they help families like that come out of state. There's this family, they are from Venezuela. And they're right here, staying. So the wife, she's actually a nurse. So my husband's mom at the time, he wasn't my husband, right? She was, sick. So she went, she would take care of her. And see, I'm that kind of person, like my parents taught me, like, no seas mal educada. So, when I went to go drop the lady and her husband, to not be rude, I got out the car to say hi. I was just gonna drop him off and leave, girl, like, to be honest, like, because that's how my parents brought me up. When we have guests, we have to be respectful, if they need a ride somewhere, because they're they're new here. So I took him, and I didn't want to be rude, so I got out the car. And the guy that actually was staying, the guy from Venezuela, he was helping me out with my daughters, because at the time my daughter was 2 months old and my little one, she was 2 years old. So he was helping me. And when I walk in the garage, I see him sitting down with his uncle. And I looked at him and I'm like, oh. And he looked at me. And so, I didn't think much of it. So, I go inside, I'm eating I'm eating the food, because like I said, it was Mother's Day and he was actually there. So I saw him, and then I saw his son. And I'm like, oh, okay, like he's taken, he has his son. And then he thought, now that we laugh about it, he thought I was taken because I had my girls. So we never thought of it, right? So it came down to, I remember it was my birthday and I was just inviting friends, like, hey, we're going to go have a nice time. So I ended up texting him, and I was like, hey, we're going to have a dinner with some friends, come join us. So he did. And that was the first time we went out with a group of people. And the way he was, man, it was just like, he was so sweet, incredible. But long story short, I met him in the garage, his mom's garage. That's how I met him. But his mom and my mom actually been knowing each other for years, like years ago, like for about 8-9 years. But I never knew he existed, and he never knew I existed. So that's how we met, in his mom's garage.
Wow. And then when did you guys get married?
Yeah, so we got married August 3rd of last year, 2019. We literally planned our wedding in 5 months. And everything, like, I would soon share the video, because I did get the video from the photographer, but I didn't want to watch it. I want to wait for him to watch our wedding video. I did see a little clip, because he did put like a little clip together. And I just started crying, girl. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that literally my husband did my dream wedding. I did not pay one dime, girl. I did not even pay for my nails. Like, he paid everything.
Wow.
Everything was paid for. My parents were like, let's have. He's like, nah, your daughter deserves the best. So everything that you see in my, my wedding video that I will be posting soon, he did it all. And I didn't even decorate. He said, I want you to stay home Friday night. I'm going to take care of it with the person that's going to decorate, with your mom. And I want to surprise you the next day. So I didn't know how my wedding was going to look like. I didn't see the church. I didn't see nothing. Girl, Saturday when we got married, I literally was looking at everything. And then I looked at him. I was like, whoa, you did all this? That you guys will probably be seeing pretty soon in my channel, the video.
So it was pretty impressed. I can imagine it was pretty lit.
Oh my, I did not think my husband had that taste. I was like, boy.
Wow. That's awesome, because that's stress that you did not have to deal with. He totally took it on. So
he took it.
Beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And now, now to get to the part that we're going to be talking about tonight, this whole thing about being detained, like, when did that happen? Around how many months after, you guys were just married? And how did that initial process begin for him?
Girl, months, you talking about weeks. We got married August 3rd and he got detained August 30th. Literally coming back
Wow.
from our honeymoon. Literally.
Wow.
And so how it happened, I remember that Thursday night, my mom just came back to town because my parents are missioners. So, they go do mission work and they travel. So my mom literally just got back Thursday night. And my husband told my mom, like, hey, let's go out and have dinner. And mom was like, Mijo, I'm tired. He was like, please, let's go. So that Thursday night, um, we went to go have dinner. And by the time I went to go pick him up, because I was at church, when my husband and my mom were waiting for me at the house, because like I said, my husband just got out of work, my mom just came back because she was tired, and I was on my way back home from church.
Mhm.
My mom was telling me that he was just, just talking about that, how he wanted to do God's work, how he loves how my parents do the mission work, how he wants to get more involved. And that night we went to go eat. And honestly, girl, now that I think about it, I just felt like Thursday is como que me estaba dando una despedida. Like him just talk. It was just so weird, girl. Like now that I look back, I'm like, man, he was kind of just saying kind of goodbye to me. He was saying that how he loves me. Like he tells me how much he loves me, but that different type of like, okay, like if it's your last time I'm gonna see you. It was
Wow.
really weird. So that Friday in the morning, he was supposed to pick up our son. And what I mean by our son is he does have a child from his previous relationship. But I call him my son because once I got married, girl, like it's a responsibility, right? So, he was going to go pick him up at 5 in the morning. And that morning, I never wake up early, right? And I was like, do you want me to go with you? And he was like, no, I'll be back. So he goes and he gives me a kiss. He says, I'll be back. I love you. He left. My mom starts banging on the door, Jael, Jael. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm like half asleep, right? She's like,
Wow.
Jael, where's your phone? And I'm like, I'm that type of girl that I don't charge my phone at night. And now I learned my lesson. My mom was like, Allan is calling you. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, here. So she passed me the phone. And I clearly remember as day, he told me, he was like, honey, come pick up Avery. I'm like, huh? He's like, come pick up Avery. And I'm like, what happened? He was like, what happened? What happened? He was like, ICE is here. Girl, I literally jumped off the bed and I went. And when I went, my husband was sitting down with his arms across, and there was about like 10, 12 police cars just around him. Girl, when I saw that, I just my whole body got cold. And yeah, they detained him. The ICE officer was talking to us, and he said that he had a deportation order, but he was like, someone called. If it's either a mother-in-law, a father-in-law, a neighbors that don't like him, did he ever have conflict with anybody? We're like, no, like no,
Wow.
my husband, no, he's not a person to have problems with anybody. He was like, well, sometimes people call, and kind of, he was trying to tell us someone called immigration on him. So that's how my husband got detained. And the ICE officer, girl, I just saw it was God from the first hand, because the officer said, right now I have the power to deport him, but I'm not. I'm gonna let him stay here. You're going to fight his case, and where we're gonna take him, I'm gonna make you let 2 phone calls. We don't allow that, but I will let you make 2 phone calls to him.
Wow. And in those cases, can you tell us, like, how is it possible that someone is able to just call and say, so and so, I know so and so, like, was there any priors, like they just show up and pick them up, right? Because I've read other cases the same thing, like you don't have time to do anything, and in his case he was detained. In other cases, we know people are deported on the spot. But what is that like, or how do they justify being able to just pick someone up like that? Like, what did they tell you about the legality of that?
Right now, that's still under investigation. We kind of do have an idea how it happened, but we're still, looking into that and getting into that. But girl, like you said, people could make lies, and like let's say right now, if I call a cop on someone, or if it was an accident, they will still show up. You know what I mean? Because it's a call, and they have to, by procedure, they have to go by law. Oh no, it was an accident. It did. Oh, okay. They just want to make sure it's okay. Like if an alarm goes on and nothing happens, and you just forgot the alarm code, or you didn't unlock on time, the cops will show up. Because that's their job. And I think that's what happened in this case. You know, they showed up. There was probably a lie that was made, and they showed up.
Wow. And so it's been what, going on 10 months or so?
10
Have you?
months going on 11 because we're already going to be by July. Yeah, 10 months. 10 months.
Yeah.
August 30th. Yeah.
Can you tell us how the communication has been with him? Like, what are your rights as a wife, in communicating with him and maintaining, right, your relationship, your family? Um, what are some of the things that you've experienced in these last 10 months? Are you able to just pick up the phone and call him anytime? Like, what does that look like to you?
Honestly, it's very hard because, like you said, with everything that I have going on, sometimes he calls me, babe, I can't talk right now, or we go back and forth. It's very, very difficult. The times, the changes, and they have a tablet where we could kind of do like video chat, especially right now because of the COVID-19. We're not able to go in person because for the last 8 months, ever since it's COVID, I will visit him 3 times a week nonstop. And I did that for 8 months, girl, 8 months. And the fact that now it's like, going from seeing him 3 times a week, at least I could hug him and kiss him and not seeing him, that's where, it's been hard, you know.
And with the whole issue of the COVID-19, you know, are you are you aware, like, of any of the, because I know each detention center is different. Some people host children and adults. This one, from what I hear, is only adults, right? What is it like for people in there with COVID-19? Like, have you heard anything, or your particular case with your husband? Are they provided with medical care, or what services do they get as detainees?
Yeah, so for the medical, honestly, girl, there was a problem that my husband, see, my husband, if you've seen it, I don't know if you saw the before and after picture of my
Yeah.
husband. He lost about 40 to 60 pounds, a lot of weight. And there was a time where my husband kept telling me, like, babe, I'm not feeling good. I'm not feeling good. My hands start getting numb. I'm like, babe, well, put petitions. We have a medical record that's about 160 pages of his condition, of what he's been asking about, what he's been complaining about, how he's been going on. And sometimes they don't get the measures right then and there or as soon as possible. So there was this time that was the most scariest time in my life, where my husband, he normally calls me, right? We talk every day. And this particular day, like I said, we do have a segment in the radio for marriages. So I know exactly for sure at 3 he calls me because that's the time we have the radio program.
Mhm.
So I saw it was like 3:20, and I'm like, I was like, that's weird, but I was like, nah, maybe they got in trouble, or if they get in fights, they lock them down. But then that's when it was 3:40. And I thought it was weird, like my program is from 3 to 3:30. So it was 3:40, and I don't know, my phone rings. And I answer, and it's an old detainee that used to be there with him. We still have communication with detainees that's been released. So he calls me, he tells me, Hermana, he was like, your husband's in the hospital. I'm like, what? He's like, yes, an hermano, because my husband in there started a church, so they call each other like hermanos, hermanas, brothers and sisters. So he's like, a brother from church called from a brother from the church and decided to me, called me and told me to tell you that your husband's in the hospital, that they took him. Girl, I started calling Adelanto. I was like, where's my husband? They said they couldn't give me information, they couldn't give me details. Girl, my husband was hospitalized. His heart started dropping. And what I did is I went to the Adelanto facility. And when you could check on the ICE locator,
Mhm.
it says Adelanto, it says the inmate, the date of birth, everything. And then it says Adelanto Detention Center. But when I went on, it was empty. And when I see that it's empty, I called somebody and they told me either two things: either one, he died, or either two, he's released. Girl, I started freaking out because it didn't show that he was in Adelanto anymore.
Wow.
Here's my husband. Girl, I have no idea. Like I didn't eat. I didn't want nothing. I was so depressed. Like I didn't know anything about him. until later I found out that he was in the hospital. He was hospitalized due to heart palpitations. Now they even told him that he's in diabetic watch. And
Wow.
my husband was a healthy guy, girl, 34-year-old, very healthy man. You see, big guy, really big guy. And yeah, girl. And right now he does have complications of his heart. He's in diabetic watch. Right now they are giving him Insure or something like that. Um, but he needs a heart specialist. That's something that it's very scary, because like I tell ICE, just please, like, don't give me my husband in a casket. I don't want to receive him like that. The fact that he's alive, I want to be able to take him, because now if you need a heart specialist, girl, when you need a specialist, because there's something more deep,
Mm-hmm.
it's more a problem. And right now, because of the COVID, I was seeing on Instagram statistics. Now there's about 8 cases confirmed in Adelanto.
Wow.
Before it was 2, now there's 8. And
Wow.
I'm really scared. Still today I'm still scared, because girl, we're not talking about a headache, we're talking about a heart condition mixed with COVID. That's not a good mixture
Mm-hmm.
at all.
And this is all something that came to be known during his time there. He
Oh,
didn't have these problems before.
very healthy guy. And that's what I'm scared that, like I speak by faith, right? So if he gets released, like he's not going to be able to get work right now because of his heart.
Mm-hmm.
And now that he's in diabetic watch, like what if he gets diabetes, girl? Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's something that is very, very dangerous. His, blood pressure goes down. It's like a girl. If I show you the packet, it's like a big packet of all his medical records.
And another question I have is, there's a lot of people that have came out of detention centers, and they say it's not, it's like a prison. They feel that they're not given adequate medical treatment, that the food that they get, it's not proper. They were recently, there's a lawsuit that was recently filed
Mm-hmm.
against Adelanto and GO and all these other people, for what they call negligence, medical negligence, for spraying these rooms with infectants that are known. You're supposed to be spraying this onto empty, no human contact, and there's people reports of nosebleeds, of blood coming out of their eyes, their ears. And so there's a lot of movement and a lot of complaints about how people are being treated in there. And what is it like, I guess, for our listeners, right, our viewers, to know, like, what is it like, from how different is a detention center from a prison? Because if we're seeing how they're treated and they're not getting the proper care, it's almost like they're being criminalized and penalized for something that's still in the courts. There's not, what I'm saying, like they're like in this limbo area, but yet the way they're being treated is, it's very sad and inhumane. And I don't know, I'm not sure if you can speak on other cases, but if this is happening to your husband, I can only imagine what else is other people are going through that don't have perhaps the advocacy or don't have access, right, to support, and how much more is being hidden or denied from people's access. I mean, you're the wife, and he was taken to hospital, like hospitalized, like, and you were not told at all. So it just really brings out, like, what rights do you have, as a citizen? um you should have rights to your husband no matter where he's at, like, you know what I mean? But that seems to be discarded in these detention centers. Another thing to ask is, are there anything else that you see, in these detention centers? Do they, from what you know, right, from what you've experienced, do they get proper, food? I mean, is food an issue? How is their health being monitored, or even taken care of? Like, what are the basic things that they provide for people in there?
So, starting with the first question with the sprays, I remember my husband, if you've seen in the before and after, my husband has hair, right? When
Mm-hmm.
I saw him, his head shaved, I was like, what happened? Like, why did you shave your head? He's like, no, babe, it's because I started getting rash. And when I went to go visit him in person, I saw that he started getting like stabs, but they started bleeding. Like it was like blood. And I'm like, why are you bleeding from here? He's like, I don't know, babe. Maybe it's the water, shampoo, because he's sensitive. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe. So now that we look back, my husband tells me, no, babe, like I think it's sprays. I think it's that what's going on. My husband was, you know, bleeding from his head, was getting like scalps and dryness, and his skin was very irritated. So that right now is, you know, very concerning for that. For the food wise, I know they eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but if they want like snacks in between, they have to obviously purchase that. So like my husband, if he doesn't wake up at 5 in the morning to eat, he has to wait till 12, till 1. He says that there's something that I still remember out of the foods. I'm like, so how you like the food? He's like, babe. He's like, they give me a meat and it's ham and it's red, like a red ham. And I'm like,
Oh.
ugh. He was like, babe, like, I don't know. I'm like, well, when we have mission work, you got to get used to that. You know, I try to make it laugh a little bit. I'm like, because once we go do mission work and we go to those, you know, different countries and different places, you're just going to eat things that you don't even know. So he was telling me, no, babe, like the food is disgusting. And, you know, it's nothing, you know, nothing new. And then for his, you know, like I said, if it's lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner in between, you know, he eats sopa de maruchan or cookies, but you know, that's a lot of sodium, especially right now. I tell him, hey, don't be eating a lot of sodium. But he's like, well, babe, but I'm hungry. I gotta eat, because he starts feeling dizzy. So it's like we're not trying to, you're trying to take care of yourself, but then the food, he needs the proper food, but then it's like you don't even know what to do in cases like this.
So he gets breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but if he wants to buy snacks, you know, how does that, can you send them money? Like, how does that work for family members outside? Can they send them food or just money to buy from inside?
Well, I'm not sure about sending food. I don't think so. I think that's just in prison. But what I know in the detention center is you put money in their commissary, and you know, you could order food, you could order cookies, but with that you have to buy your shampoo, you got to buy extra clothes if you want a jacket, if you want socks, like you got to pay for all that, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like you got to put, I have to put money constantly, because especially he's not feeling good, you know, if it's cookies or snacks and stuff like
I
that.
was looking at the history of detention centers, and, you know, initially California passed a law that they're not allowed in California, but they found ways to legalize these contracts with GEO and a bunch of other companies or care. And that's the problem, where it's privatized and there's not a lot of regulations for these centers. And, you know, and as for yourself, right, as a wife, you know, you're someone that's taking advocacy, you're someone that's really fighting for him. What are the biggest things that as a wife you feel have been the biggest challenge for yourself personally with your husband being detained? You know, what is one thing that you think is like the most challenging out of everything, legally, emotionally?
Honestly, like it's so much challenge that I can't even compare, you know. um what breaks my heart the most is every night when my kids ask, when is their daddy coming home, you know, hearing that. That's something that's very, it hurts, girl.
Mm.
So my husband, his car is parked, and you know, I try to once in a while turn it on or drive it, because I can't just have it in the car sit. So there was a day when this was still so fresh. The car was parked facing the garage, so I moved it. And when my kids came back, because they were that weekend, that, you know, they went out with my mom. When my kids came back, they were like, Poppy is here. Look, mommy, the car. Like, because they saw that the car
Oh,
was moved. And this was, girl, we're talking about a 4-year-old. Like,
wow.
how did she, like,
Hmm.
how did she catch that? And she came, Poppy, Poppy, Poppy. And she said, Poppy not here. Girl, I broke down in my room. I said,
Wow.
hold on, I got work to do. Girl, I just got in my room and I just started crying. Like, you know, it's something that it's like, I can't even, like, how are you going to tell a 4-year-old, you know? Another thing is that same morning when he was detained, you know, my son, he asked, because he saw everything. He's like, Mama, why did the police have my dad? Why was he like this? He
Mhm.
starts showing me how he was, you know. Um, and another one that also really just broke me was the first week that he was detained. My daughter was like, "Where's Puppy?" And I'm like, "He's working." She was like, "Okay." The next day, Saturday, "Mommy, where's Puppy?" And I'm like, "He's working." And she literally stared at me, and she went out through her day. Sunday came, and she said, "Mommy, where's Papi?" And I said, "Working." And she said, "No, today's church." Because they know that we go to
Wow.
church. She knows that we were getting ready for church, and she knows he doesn't miss church. He always goes to church with us. And that was just, you know, it was, like, how am I going to tell a 4-year-old? Like, I keep telling her, he's at work, he's at work. But it's like, when is he coming?
Mhm.
So still today, I mean, I don't know if you saw my Instagram post when my little one, she's only 2, she was like, "I want Papi." And I'm like, "Where?" She's like, "Look." And she walks and she points at the picture. I don't know if you saw that video. I posted it on Instagram. And I was like, "It's okay. He'll be home soon. We just got to pray." And yeah, I mean, just hearing that and, just very recently last week, you know, um, he was talking with her because he talks to them, every day. And she's like, "Papi, when are you coming? When are you coming? When are you coming?" She literally said that 3 times. "When are you coming? When are you coming? When are you coming?"
Wow. Oh my goodness.
So that's what's really, you know, it's the hardest. Because it's
Absolutely.
like, I don't like, not lying to kids, especially your own kids, and seeing that, like, when is a when?
Right.
So,
Right. Um, in all this, going 10 months, going 11 months, what are some of the things that you have done to advocate for him? Can you tell us like some of the actions that you've taken? Because we've seen you on Telemundo, La Opinión, like you've had media coverage. You have a rally, prayer rally this Friday. You know, how do you find the energy and the the courage, right, to take on these actions? And how did you start, right? How did you start organizing and communicating with other people? Can you take us to that journey, so hopefully whoever's watching this that is in your same situation can find that vision, right, and that inspiration to be able to advocate and be able to look at the community to see, how we can all come together to help cases like your husband.
yeah, honestly, girl, I remember there was a night and I said, "God, I'm tired. Take it from here.
Mhm.
I'm tired. I can't do it with my strength anymore. Just take it from here." And I remember the next day, that's when the organization We Care reached out. And, Pastor Ada and Malvin Valiente, they've been very, very a blessing. Um, and it all started with them. They said, we're going to do this protest in Adelanto, come out. It was April 24th. I still remember. We did a prayer protest, and then from there they took my story, and then people were just impacted with my husband's story because he's not a criminal. He has no criminal record, you know and they think it's weird why someone that has no criminal record, the longest is 6 months.
Mhm.
How can it be that he's still in there, no criminal record, no criminal record, no nothing. And now that I look back, honestly, I just feel like God is working, because the work that my husband's doing in there is so unbelievable. He's preaching, he's giving the word of God. People have come to Christ. I have messages that people reach out to me saying, "Hey, I was there with your husband. He told me about the Bible, and now I know God because of him." And now I see the work that my husband is doing in there is, honestly, at the end, God has him in there for a reason, for a purpose. Right now that they moved him from one building to another, and he said that in there was people actually saying, we've been praying for a leader. We've been praying for somebody. And look, my husband's there giving them the word, doing Bible study. They got so excited, girl. They set up because he does Bible study for an hour. They say, can we do 2 hours, please? We want to know more and more and more. And, now he's all excited telling me now he's doing more Bible study for 2 hours. They have church every day. We're helping people out. And what I mean by that is, so my husband tells us, hey babe, there's, this person's being released and they need someone to sign. Because you know how when you go pick them up, we got to sign for them and they release them. So we've been doing that. We have helped already about 10 people. We go, we sign, we pick them up. There's a Walmart. If you guys know the Atlanta area, there's a Walmart in the corner. We go buy them clothes. We take them to the airports. Or we take them, food, or we help them out, and where they need to go. And honestly, girl, like the work, the mission work that is being done in there is unbelievable. Still today, I remember I helped this kid out. I think he's 20 or 21. We took him to the airport. We gave him money, and still today, and that was in November, and still today the mom messages me thanking me every day. Thank you for helping my son. I was like, don't thank me, girl, thank God. I was like, thank God, because honestly, like, if my husband wasn't in that position that he is right now, then all this help, I wouldn't have not done it and started. And honestly, I just give the glory and honor to him that this is an opportunity for his word to be spread out. And I remember clearly my husband, remember Thursday night, my husband, how he said he wanted to preach and he wanted to do something different. He wanted to preach in the nations. And literally, girl, 2 days ago, we were talking. He was like, babe. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, remember when I told you I wanted to preach in the nations? Like, I wanted to go. I'm like, yeah. He's like, guess what? And I'm like, what? Do you still want to do it? He's like, yeah, but I'm doing it here. Girl was confused. I was like, what do you mean? Girl, remember, in Adelanto, it's not just Mexicans. There's people from Asia. There's people from Nicaragua. There's people from Honduras. He's preaching from the nations. He's preaching to different people from the world. And people that already signed the deportations because they're like, how they tell my mother-in-law, your son is so strong because, like I said, we still communicate with him.
Mm-hmm.
That he is still there. Ya no aguantaba. I couldn't do it anymore. I had to sign my deportation, but I'm out here telling people about God. So my husband, what he's doing in there now, he's preaching through the nations, what he always wanted. He's doing what he always wanted. Obviously not in this situation. It's a hard situation, but he's doing what he always wanted.
And question, how did, because I know there's been a lot of media coverage for his case. How did that come to be? Like, how did they hear about it? La Opinión, Telemundo, how did you make those connections? Did someone work with you with that? Or, how did the word spread?
Yeah, so when we did the protest in Adelanto, like I said, we're with We Care, people started hearing the story. And the organization We Care, they reached out to them because that's the one that's helping us for Advocate. So, they've been, saying, oh, they want to do an interview. They saw you, but, they see that we're working with them, that we work with We Care. So, they reached out and hey, I want to interview. Hey, I want to interview. So honestly, like I said, the organization We Care has really been the one has helping us. And, like I said, God brought them into our life for a reason. And, it's work that they're doing.
Absolutely. And now for someone that's watching you, right, listening to you right now, say their loved one was just detained yesterday. They were taken to Adelanto. What advice or suggestions would you have for that family member?
That's funny that you said that because actually 2 days ago, someone reached out that their husband was detained. And 2 weeks before, when I was doing that video on my Instagram of the story of how it really happened, someone reached out that their boyfriend was just detained. So, I mean, I'm getting people messaging me, and another person I just found out yesterday that their uncle's detained in the same Adelanto. And literally, girl, before we did this interview, my husband called me and he said that someone in there said that their niece or their families, something that has to do with this female, she knows me. Wow. she hears the radio. She knows about the radio. And prior to that, when my husband was detained first month there, 3 people know who my dad is because my dad is a pastor. He's very well known. with the radio station. And they said that one guy, he was Dominican, that was in Adelanto years ago, because my parents, like I said, they do mission work. And we throw concerts in the Dominican Republic. We do like a big concert. He actually went to the concert where my dad spoke. So it's like, they were like, that's your suegro, Andres Serrano? And he was like, yeah. They're like, I know him, but in Santo Domingo. So people from Santo Domingo already know who my dad is. Girl, I'm telling you, these connections, like these people, like, oh my gosh, I know who Andres is. Like before they've been detained, they hear the radio. Right. So, it's, girl, I'm telling you, this is a small world. Like, but what I could say to them is, don't give up your faith. Even though you don't see it, I know God is working behind doors. Even though right now I don't see it, girl, this is going to be a miracle from God. And I believe in it. I speak it by faith, and like I said, no one will stop God's work. And so that's why I speak the way I speak. A lot of people, and I understand there's people that they don't believe in God, or they don't get it religious, or they don't get into that topic. But I mean, that's honestly what's helping me. So why am I going to go around circles? Because maybe what it does help for someone else, it may not help for another person. But for me and all these things happening, girl, no one else but God, honestly, getting these connections, knowing these people. Because I'm telling you, that day when I said, God, I can't do this no more, literally after that day, girl, all these doors, all these opportunities are happening and they're working. And now with this prayer rally that's happening Friday and this press conference, girl, this is just about Allan. This is not about any other detainee. It's about my husband. It's free Allan. Normally we do protests for everyone in general, but this one is just for my husband. Like, and to get about 12 organizations just talking about my husband, girl, like, to me, that's God. Like,
And, to speak about the legal fees and all this, like for someone that, say they migrated here, they detained the sole breadwinner, can you give us a rough estimate about, what the legal fees look like? Is there like a set price? Do you have access to pro bono lawyers? Like, what does it look like for a family member that's trying to get the legal system and someone to fight for their loved one's case?
Yeah, so for the legal fees, I'm gonna be honest with you, we spend about more than 10 grand, because attorney fees, the gas. I've been going 3 times a week for 8 months, driving there, driving back, putting money in the commissary. Also, we're putting money in commissaries for people, for detainees, girl. We help like people that don't have money. We've been doing that. So, roughly about, we still, have to, you got to pay for the appeals. You got to pay for the paperwork. You got to, it's not like, girl, we're not talking about $1,000. We're talking about, we have spent more than $10,000 since my husband been detained.
Wow.
So it's not, it's not cheap. It's pretty expensive. But what I recommend is finding options. Just don't go to the just straight one attorney. Find options, because there's different options. There's different ways. There's organizations that also help out. So, I mean, don't just get desperate and just go with the first thing, No. Do your research, find, and like I said, it's easier said than done, because when that happens, you get a desesperación. Yeah. But no. That's the first mistake that, we could do, is just going to your first straight option. Look around, find ways. It doesn't hurt to ask. And that's what I feel like a lot of people are scared of asking. But no, just ask, because asking could get you far.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for those of us that are watching or listening to this for the first time, who want to help you, who want to help push this case forward and free Allan, what are some of the things that people can do to help you? To everyone that's watching right now, what are some of the ways that you have available for us to be able to help you?
Okay, so the ways is, one, I started this thing called Unity. And that's, I'm selling masks, especially that's in moda right now. I sell masks. I have cups. I'm coming out with hats. I'm coming out with a lot of new things that are coming out. And with that purchase that you do, you know, it's like you're buying that and we're helping out people with that have attorney fees, you know, detainees that need, you know, food, you know, people that need, you know, especially, girl, honestly, thank God I have my parents, my suegra, but let's be realistic. There's people that don't have family here. They come from
Mhm.
different countries with their husbands or wives. They're detained. It's just them, you
Yeah.
know? And so we want to help out, reach out to those people that have kids, you know? So with that, you know, we're doing that. Or there's people that are like, okay, you know what, Jael, like, you know, save the mask, save the cup. I just want to donate. And then you could keep, you know, getting more stuff, more things, give it to someone that needs it. And that's what we do too. You know, I have, right, I don't have a GoFundMe page. You know, I do want to open one, but for the time being, because I have so much going on, you know, people just Zelle me money. And they say, you know what, this is for your attorney fees, or if there's specific, hey, this is for you to keep growing your products, the masks or the cups or stuff like that. And that's what I've been doing. Thank God, you know, someone donated some money. And that's why I was able to, you know, get new stuff that's going to be coming out pretty soon. New cups, you know, hats. We're going to be doing shirts. Okay, girl, we're going to be doing so much things that later this is going to be an organization that me and my husband are going to be doing and just helping those in need. This is not just right now. No, no, no. This is going to be an organization now called Unity that we have started since him being detained. And now I haven't shared this with anybody, and I'm going to be posting pictures soon. We actually, with the mask, I said that we were going to donate to We Care. And, you know, because they've been a big help for, you know, my family. And I was like, you know what, what's better not yet to give back. So with that, we were able to get someone a bed that they're going to be released pretty soon. And, you know, now they have somewhere to sleep, you know. And now my husband too, you know, I put commissary money. He was like, babe. I'm like, what? He's like, guess what I did? I'm like, what? He was like, I bought everyone sopas de maruchan. I'm like, babe, but that money was for you, you know, because I have different divide. Obviously, my finances is completely different than Unity, right? Business is business, mine is my stuff.
Right,
I'm
right.
like, he's like, but I bought everyone sopas. I'm like, okay, well, if that's what you want to do with your money, honey, and that's what you want to do it. And I was like, but is it that bad? He was like, yeah. So now, you know, with the new products that are coming out and people buying them, what I'm going to start doing is now start putting, you know, that money into people's funds so they could have for food and stuff like that. So
Beautiful.
yeah.
Beautiful.
That's
And
what I'm
so
saying, girl. Like it's like
yeah.
oh
No,
my gosh, that's
absolutely.
crazy.
And let's talk about, you know, I know there's a lot of things that you're working on. I know you're working on a documentary. Like you just mentioned, you want to actually create a nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what are your plans? Because, you know, like you're saying, we believe and he is gonna be free. Like we support that. I support you. I support his case. That day will come. He will be free. Um, what happens, you know, what happens that day he's free? How, you know, like do you have that vision already, like, okay, he's free, we're going to do this nonprofit, this nonprofit is gonna do this, like, take us to that day, take us to the
Girl, I
free,
already see it.
take us to, because it's coming, you know, it's coming, and, you know, um we know
Sorry.
that you're doing the work and everyone's doing the work. So take us to that day. Take us to that day. Take us to that following month, the following 2 months. You know, what are the things that you have planned and you and him have talked about, as far as the organization and the work that you want to do?
So, girl, I'm already like visioning it. Like I've had dreams, and people that know us have been having dreams that my husband has been out. And I remember I had a dream that I was with my husband and I was holding his hands, and all we saw was a lot of people, but I saw behind their heads. But we were talking to a big crowd. Like it was, girl, like I see it, right? So I did, when my husband, the first month him being detained, he said, you know what, babe, like I want to do something when I get out. And I was like, yeah, yeah. But girl, honestly, that night, like I said, you know, I was thinking, and God gave me the word unity, and he gave me First Peter 3:8. And which talks about unity. And I'm like, why am I gonna wait? Why am I gonna wait? There's people right now that need our help. Let's not wait for the last minute. Because once it comes out, girl, I'm going to my second honeymoon. I'm out. I'm deuces. I'm bye. Adios. Okay. So, so I'm like, why wait? That's sometimes, us as humans, we wait. And then that's when we don't accomplish what we want to do. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. That wait never comes. Start today. You have a goal. You have something to do. Start now. There's no time, but I don't have the finance. Well, start with the $10 you have and start building, start doing what you love to do. And that's what, like I said, that's what I love to do. That's what I wanted to do. And so I was like, why wait? So I shared about him and he got so excited. He's like, I don't know how the design looks, but I trust you, babe. And, that's teamwork right there, So, once it comes out, I already have the work. Like I already have, obviously I don't have the picture, right? But when he comes out, someone's going to take a picture of us. And I already have the words. Like God gave me these words to put with that picture, which you guys will see soon. You guys will know what's how you put a caption? I already have a caption. I already have the caption. I'm
Beautiful.
ready. I'm ready, girl.
Beautiful. And, can you tell us about Friday? The reason why we're recording this sooner than Friday is because we want to let people know about this rally, this prayer rally. How did that come to be? What's the vision for Friday morning, 10 a.m. At the LA Federal Building? If anyone that's watching if you can be there and show support and solidarity. 10 a.m. Friday, June 29th at the LA Federal Building. So tell us more about that. Like, how did this come to be? I mean, this is a big deal. Press release, calls media, and there's gonna be questions. Like, how did this kind of be? What was the plan?
Girl, and to put it, let me make it more spicy for you. Exactly 2 years ago on June 29th, that's the first time we hanged out.
Wow.
Before my birthday. My birthday's June 30th. And that's when we had the birthday dinner, was June 29th of 2018.
Wow.
And look now, like how your life could change. Look, 2 years later, now I'm doing a protest. So this prayer rally, you guys better go. Okay, I hope to see you guys there. We're going to do this prayer rally. My attorney is going to be speaking. I'm going to be speaking. We're going to be boys. I just feel like with my husband, girl, the fact that my husband, right, has been detained for 11 months. My husband has an attorney. He has family here. I'm a U.S. citizen. The kids are U.S. citizen. He has so much support. Imagine those people that don't have families, that don't have attorneys. How do they do it? So honestly, we're going to be voice for the voiceless to help those families, to show them like, hey, there's people in there that need to be released, that need to be free. I feel like to do it in a peaceful way. That's how we're going to win the victory, not cussing, not breaking things. No. That's not how we we do things. We need to do things peacefully and praying. And that's how we're really going to win this battle, is by praying and fasting. And that's how the battles are going to be won. I hope you guys could come out, support. I'm excited for you guys, to know the story, and just be voice for the voiceless.
And question, so the press release is on the 29th. It's going on 11 months. 11 months being detained.
The 26th, love. The 26th.
Oh, sorry.
June 26th.
June 26th. Okay.
This Friday, June 26th.
Okay. Thank you. So June 26th, the press release, the conference. Is this the first one?
Bro, I just feel like you were just reminding me, because June 29th was when we had our birthday dinner. Like, look, you're already speaking in existence, girl. You're already telling me your husband is coming.
I'm like, wait, my dates are okay.
Yeah, June 26th. I was like 29. I'm like, okay, girl, what if he gets released on the 29th?
Wow. Happy early birthday reunion.
For real. Okay. For real. Happy birthday. Happy anniversary, girl. Our first month married, he missed Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, all his kids' birthdays. And hopefully not my birthday. And just hopefully, like, ICE, please release my husband for my anniversary, because I'm trying to go for another. I said, you've been gone for 10 months. I'm leaving for 10 months. You better owe me back everything that we lost.
And so question, so the press release, the press conference, I'm sorry, is this done? Like, did you do one before? Is this the first time that you're doing it? what's the goal for the press conference? Like, is there any new information or a new, is the case getting stronger in his favor for him to be freed, or what's like the number one goal for Friday's press conference?
So we've done protests in Adelanto. April 24th was one. May I don't remember exactly, but in May something we did one as well. And we were, advocating for everybody. But the press conference is just for my husband, free Allan. So we're talking about my husband's case because it's not fair him being detained, no criminal record, and how it happened. It's like, come on, like that's not fair. All we're asking is just to, I'm not saying, okay, we get it, whatever. Put a ankle bracelet on him. I don't care. I just need to take him to the hospital. He needs a heart specialist. Like we people are like, well, you just, we, like you said, we got them trolls, right? We got those people that, they just, well, this and that, and they have their negative comments, but you don't know the real story. You don't know what's real behind it. And we're not saying like let them out and whatever. No. Okay, if you please put an ankle bracelet on him if you have to, but let me just take him to the hospital. Let me just take him to see the medical that he needs to, that he needs to be seen. Right. That's all we're asking for. All we're asking is just please let him get the medical, importance that he needs. It's like, girl, it's 911. His heart is, that's not a joke. His right. heart, his blood pressure, everything that's going on. His weight loss tremendously. When people saw it before and after, they're like, that's not your husband. I'm like, yes, it is. Like the fact that the dramatic change, girl. Like people they're like, this is not the same guy. I'm like, yes, it is. Because it's like I'm saying, it's just all we're asking is just please. So that's why, Friday, it's going to be a big support. Hopefully you guys could come and support. Because after this, girl, I'm telling you, we're going to be voice for the voiceless for sure. Because it's not just my husband. It's everyone else that needs to be heard. So we could be voice for that.
Absolutely. And, and when you talk about these cases, when you mentioned how even when people are released, they're kind of just left out there, right? Like you're saying, like the organization We Care, being able to provide for their flights, right? Being able to give them a meal, food, clothing, so there just shows that there's so much to be done, right? And a lot of us that are activists, a lot of us that are advocates, there's a lot, because right now there's a lot of protesting. A lot of people are getting active, are getting involved, which is beautiful. But I also feel that we have to also be considerate of all the other ways that we can help, all the other ways that we can assist. Because as we know, and I was looking at some of the statistics here, there are over about 200 detention centers in the United States alone. That's a lot, right? And the fact that they're for profit, the fact that they're making money, millions of dollars off of detaining people that have no business being detained, right? Like there's people are saying, why are they being penalized for something? Like, and then a lot of it is they're saying it's under the Trump administration, how ever since he came into office, it became much more aggressive in the way that they deported our peoples. And that just goes to show like what much more the work that we need to do, right? And like I said, 200 detention centers in US, right? These are actual ICE detention centers. We have over 1,500 missing children that actually the feds and ICE, they admitted that they lost track of 1,500 youth. These are kids that were separated from their families that they cannot find. We have reports of sexual abuse, we have reports of emotional abuse, and we have 24 detainees who have died in ICE custody during the Trump administration. Since 2004, 193 detainees have died in US custody in ICE camps. So that just goes to show the gravity, it's just the inhumane treatment, right, of a lot of the people in here. And speaking of the case of Allan, that just shows, like, again, is hopefully everyone that's watching this, takes action. The other things that Jael, that you have shared with me, is that people can write letters to Field Officer Marin, They can call. There's a lot of things, and I'm going to post all of this information in images, and I'm also going to put it in the video description. You can also donate to Jael's Zelle account, which is through her email account, and I'm going to include that as well. So I just want people to know that there's so much to do, that there's so much work we can do. We personally, in our families, we know people that have been detained. I work at a public school, and we had to, and I'm very proud of my school district because we go above and beyond for families that just came out of detention centers.
Wow.
And it's so sad though, because the kids that would come into our schools, the trauma in their faces, some kids couldn't eat specific foods because they were reminded of certain things that happened in the detention centers. And the teachers were kind of like, they didn't know how to deal with it. The administrators didn't know how to deal with it. And we're like, they need mental health, they need therapy, they need counseling. And these are kids that, are with their families to this day. So I can only imagine how the kids feel, right? That have been completely separated from their families, not having someone to advocate for them, and the trauma that they're gonna have in their life if we don't advocate for them, if we don't make sure that they receive proper mental health assistance, that they get proper nutrition. Because these kids, I met families and I was just like, like I said, I take very great pride in my district because we go above and beyond. We got them food, we got them backpacks, we made sure that they had internet, but the thing is, we can only do so much, right? And so the hope is that these detention centers no longer exist. They're not needed. If you have a court case that needs to be fought out in the court cases, we'll get a court date and then, appear in court. Why detain people? Why have them go through life-threatening situations, right? And that's one of my biggest, concerns is why do this to them? Why penalize them for something that they're gonna face? If they're gonna go to court, they will go to court. They have the right to get a lawyer. They have a right to make phone calls. But all of that, because of the racism, because of this whole, this whole thing about the scapegoats of, oh, immigrants, it's their fault, it's their fault. It just kind of deepens that inhumane treatment. And it drives these people to feel this way about so-called, immigrants. And so I think it's really important that we shed light to this, because the media, even though they do cover it, they don't get the coverage it needs. There's so much violations that happen. And I hope that by amplifying Allan's case and by talking about what's happening in detention centers, that this hopefully one day these centers no longer exist. They're not needed. Before the detention centers, there were other ways. If they wanted to process people, if they wanted, there was no need for these detention centers besides them being for profit. There's clearly human rights violations. There's no audits, there's no transparency, there's no accountability, and people are dying. People are dying, people are getting, abused, and that trauma that is being inflicted is something that they're gonna face for the rest of their lives. They're separating families, they're damaging families, they're robbing them from memories from their loved ones. And that's something that we have to fight really hard for our people, all people, because like you mentioned, we have Black brothers and sisters in there, we have Asian, we have all races,
really? Everything.
Everyone's in there, right? Everyone's in there, and everyone's being penalized for something that has nothing to do with it's human rights, right? A lot of the human rights violations in their countries, they're coming here as refugees, being denied a refugee status. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? It's ridiculous. And that's one of the things that we wanted to highlight this. And, Joe, I want to thank you for being courageous and having these conversations and sharing with us. I know it's not easy. I know there's a lot of pain. I know there's, that you've experienced all that, and the family members as well, and everyone in your immediate family. But I also want to thank you for being that voice, for shedding light, and for giving hope to so many people that give up, right? That find themselves depressed, because I know that depression is a big factor with a lot of families that are detained. And so to be able to go out there and use your voice and be loving and be positive, and finding ways to energize a lot of people that need, right, this love and support. So I want to thank you for that. And I hope that people watching this are able to go on Friday, the 26th, on June 26th, 10 a.m., LA Federal Building. And if you want to contact Jael, she is active on Instagram. I'm going to leave her handles on the video description. And again, if you want to help with legal fees, if you want to buy a mask or a water container, she has bottles, beautiful decorations.
Thank you.
I'm also going to link that on there. So, Jael, any final thoughts that you would like to share with our audience?
Actually, yeah, I just want to add to the people that are going to be giving donation through Zelle on the memo, because there's people that reached out that's like, look, Joe, like, I know attorney fees are expensive, here for your attorney fees. Or there's people that, hey, I want to support Unity. So when you guys donate on the memo, can you guys please just be active and be
Detailed?
specific? Yeah. On the memo, just put Unity so I know that those funds go to the Unity organization. Or if it's for my husband, then just don't add anything. But just for them to be specific. So, let's say you want to help, give out money for detainees, or you want to just help the cause for the Unity organization, just put Unity. But if you guys just want to help us with, legal fees and stuff like that, that needs to be, paid and stuff like that, then just don't add anything on the memo. Just so, I'm not mixing both. Like, I see that you guys are helping for this cause, or, for my husband.
Beautiful. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so with that, everyone, this is your professor, Citlali Anawak, and I am signing off for E-Decolonize. This has been our course number 9. Next Friday is our last course. It's class number 10. And to celebrate a very, very successful, exciting semester, I am going to raffle a poetry book, one of my last poetry books that I have. And I'm going to read new poetry, do Q&A, and let you know some future projects that I'll be working on. So again, tonight is class number 9, E-Decolonize. If you have any questions for myself or Jael, please fill out the Google form that is attached to the video description. I will make sure to forward the questions to her. And also, in order for you to enter the poetry book raffle, all you have to do is fill out the Google form. Everyone who filled out the Google form for tonight, you'll be automatically entered onto the raffle. I will announce the winner on Friday, right? I'm doing the live course next Friday, I think it's July 3rd. It's going to be.
Can I add something?
What happened?
Can I add something?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I didn't mean to cut you, but if people do that with your book, I want to donate a mask.
Oh, thank you.
Motivate people a little bit more.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.
I would do like a free makeover or something, but I know we probably have guys and girls watching, because I love giving makeovers. But what if someone's watching from like New York? How am I going to go over there? So
yeah, I want one. You can do my makeup.
Girl, you're beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So that's going to be our next class, our last final class for E-Decolonize number 10. I'm going to do a poetry book raffle giveaway. In order to enter that, fill out a Google form tonight or whenever you watch class number 9. Then you'll be automatically entered onto that raffle. You will get a mask that Jael is donating to us and my poetry book. And I'm going to answer questions, and I'm also going to talk about future projects that I'm working on. And that will be the end of E-Decolonize for now. As you know, I am off in the summer, but I usually work full time. And I am an aspiring professor. I've applied at a couple of positions, but until then, I'm going to teach anyway. And so that's why I'm here sharing space on YouTube. So without further ado, thank you very much for watching. Have a beautiful night. And we'll see you next Friday, July 3rd. Have a good night, everybody.